Okay, so that went off the rails rather quickly, expeditiously, so to speak. So the big news over the weekend, definitely, and today has been about one Kwame Brown, and him just going ballistic on social media. I mean, this guy was played for the Wizards, played for my Lakers, and then was kind of a journeyman after those two stints. Um, and he was the number one pick in the NBA when he got to the league, and I don't think he lived up to expectations. That's a story for another day because the story uh, of today, and which has been the story for the last 7 days, is um, how Kwame responded to some of this backlash he's been getting for decades at this point, man. Um, and it all started with the All the Smoke podcast from about a week ago. Today is May the 24th, so about a week ago. He was on the All of the Smoke podcast um, with um, with Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson, and their guest was Gilbert Arenas. Um, and without getting into detail, um, they didn't have the most flattering things to say on that podcast. Gilbert Arenas wasn't as Gilbert Arenas wasn't the worst offender in my opinion. Um, Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson, especially Steven Jackson, they kind of took it to a place that it didn't need to go. Um, and Kwame Brown went to that place it didn't need to go and drove further down that road. It was nuts, man. So, and then Charlemagne the God on the Breakfast Club, when I think Angela Yee was going through the news, doing the rumor report and stuff, she mentioned that this beef happened. And then Charlemagne the God started, Leonard McKelvey started making kind of jokes um, about Kwame Brown and his past and his dad's past and his prison stint and his brother being of a criminal ilk as well. And he said to, I guess he was implying that Steven Jackson and Matt Barnes don't mess with this guy because, you know, saying that his dad's pretty much implying that his dad's delinquency is gonna like telekinetically be transferred to Kwame Brown, or genetically he's linked to a murderous lineage. So Kwame Brown took offense to that, and he made a series of videos where he implied just that he took offense to that, man. Um, and coming from that kind of situation, um, I understand because Kwame Brown said he didn't even really know his father growing up. I'm the same way. I knew nothing about my father. My father could have been the worst guy on the planet or the greatest guy on the planet. I hear different accounts from different people, but I am my own person. You know what I'm saying? So, and I think that was what, Charlemagne was doing his little thing where he, jokes and tries to be cute, but definitely overstepping, in my opinion. It wasn't necessary to bring that stuff up, but it didn't matter anyway because Kwame Brown let him have it, and he kept calling uh, Charlemagne a rapist. His words, not mine, referring to a case some years ago that Charlemagne was never found guilty of rape. He wasn't even accused of rape, but he was in a situation that could have went that way. But when he went in front of a judge, he pled to the lesser charge of contributing to the delinquency of a minor because he admitted, whatever happened with the girl happened at his place, takes full responsibility, and the judge liked what he heard, and he pled guilty to that. I don't know what the punishment was, but he pled guilty to that. So this is where I kind of come into play as far as what I know legally about the law. So Charlemagne apologized today. Also, he apologized for his statement. It didn't sound like a BS apology. It sounded like an authentic, I shouldn't have brought up your past. I was wrong for doing that kind of apology. Whether it was authentic or not isn't of my concern. Um, but he apologized. So I don't know if Kwame Brown's accepted the apology yet. Why did Charlemagne apologize? I don't think that he wanted any more of that smoke from Kwame Brown. Is the very short answer to that question. But also kind of so, probably because he genuinely feels bad too. And also he also needs this to go away. This is a multi-layered thing. All of these truths can be simultaneously true, right? It's not one thing or another. All of them could be true. Um, so, but Charlemagne the God also sent a cease and desist letter to Kwame Brown when Kwame Brown repeatedly kept calling him a rapist. So this is the part that I wanted to talk about. Is Charlemagne the God a punk for sending out the cease and desist order to Kwame Brown? Charlemagne might be a punk for other reasons. I don't know. I wouldn't call him a punk for this reason though, because we honestly do not know how that cease and desist letter got in Kwame Brown's hands, outside of the fact that somebody on Charlemagne's team, it could have been Leonard himself, could have been Charlemagne himself, sent this letter over to Kwame Brown. You have to understand, in the entertainment industry, when you're working a big time radio host, television host, whatever, when you work in that space, you have a lot of people working for you. A lot of people eat off of Charlemagne the God. I'm not going to sit there and call Charlemagne this big time A-lister, but enough people know who he is. He's got a publicist because that's just the nature of that beast. When you are a radio host, a big time radio host of any kind, you are going to have a publicist. That's just fact. He probably has lawyers. He probably has lawyers on retainer. If I, excuse me, if I was Leonard's publicist, before Charlemagne even saw the tape of Kwame Brown calling him a rapist, and this is going viral and it's picking up with people. I would have called a lawyer or whatever lawyer on retainer and say, hey, send a cease and desist letter to this guy. He is disrupting my client. Because I'm sure for Leonard's publicist, um, um, Charlemagne the God is going to be one of the biggest clients that he or she has. So, from a legalese standpoint, a cease and desist letter makes perfect sense because you're in the point now where, and let me tell you guys how the First Amendment works. I'm not a lawyer, but I teach political science and I teach criminal justice. My area of expertise, so to speak, is the First Amendment. So Charlemagne was not found guilty of rape. To the best of my knowledge, he wasn't even charged with rape. So for Kwame Brown to continue to call Charlemagne a rapist, this, in the eyes of the courts, is considered a lie. Lying is not protected by the First Amendment. So Charlemagne did his due diligence. He went through the court process, pled guilty to a lesser charge. He was charged with that, did whatever punishment, whatever restitution the court told him to do for that. And now it's settled law. So, by definition of what the law states, Charlemagne the God is not a rapist. Just going by definition of that. He wasn't found guilty of it. He wasn't on trial for it. He walked away from whatever happened that fateful day at his place with that girl. He wasn't found guilty of it. So the act of Kwame Brown continuing to repeat that Leonard McKelvey is a rapist and saying it a bunch of times, this is now slander. It goes away from your opinion to where you're calling somebody a very specific thing about a very specific event that the court already said, okay, we agree that you didn't do this. So, he was already found not guilty of that. I'm not saying one thing or the other. Only Charlemagne and the people that were at his place that day know exactly what happened. But the court system works in a couple different ways. There's criminal law, and then there's civil law, civil litigations, and stuff like that. In criminal law, there's guilt and innocence. I've heard a lot of people say that Kwame Brown isn't going to be found guilty of anything because he didn't do nothing wrong. He's got the First Amendment. He has the First Amendment on his side, but the First Amendment doesn't protect you from just saying stuff that the courts have already said did not happen, is not true. So again, at that point, it's a lie, right? Just based on what the law says. Was the cease and desist letter necessary? Speaking as a publicist, yes, because again, if I'm eating off of Charlemagne, if Charlemagne's one of my clients, if I'm a lawyer for him, this guy career tanking over allegations such as this, it means something to me. I have a vested interest in that now. So um, it just is what it is. Hopefully, Charlemagne stops stepping in it like this. I mean, and this is where I get on Charlemagne a little bit. He is in the radio space. He gets paid to basically talk smack about people for a living. And he makes very, very good money doing that. The other side of that though is these people that you're talking about are still real people, and some of them might hit back. I guess nobody is expected Kwame Brown to hit back, and then I don't think Steven Jackson or Matt Barnes or Gilbert Arenas expected this kind of clapback, because if they did, then I don't think they would have said what they said. And then also, another important key element in this situation is Kwame Brown is the underdog in this situation, because he, for the last 20 some odd years, he hasn't said anything to anybody, man. I remember, I live in Los Angeles. I'm a big time Laker fan. I remember when Kwame Brown played for the Los Angeles Lakers. He came to us in 2005. The local media out here, there were a lot of people that were not kind to Kwame Brown, and he took it all in stride. He never bashed anybody over the radio. He did his thing. I would sometimes get mad for him, because I'd be like, okay, these people are talking smack about you. Show some heart. Because when he played for the Lakers, um, I'm not going to try to rewrite history and act like he was the greatest thing ever. But I did see flashes of what could be greatness out of him. He did have a few 20-point games. He might have gotten a 30-point game with us at least once or twice, but he definitely had like a few 20-point games. He was serviceable. I just don't think the chemistry was there with him and Kobe Bryant. So that was why when he got traded to Memphis for Pau Gasol, I was already throwing a parade in the street. And then, of course, Stephen A. Smith made that video where he called him a bona fide scrub and just went in on him. And of course, Kwame Brown did Stephen A. Smith this past week as well. And I thought that was a long time coming. And I was glad that he finally got that off his chest. But yeah, I'm one of those people that celebrated when Kwame Brown got traded, because I knew we were going to start winning. In that season, the '08 season, we made it to my Lakers made it to the NBA Finals that year, and then in '09 and '10, they won the championship those years. So getting rid of Kwame Brown did work out for us. But again, the First Amendment does not allow just blatant lying. Your opinion is your opinion. So when Kwame Brown calls Matt Barnes Becky with the good hair, when he calls Charlemagne the God, bitch, when he talks smack about Steven Jackson, all that stuff is opinion, and he's well within his rights to say it. The minute he starts saying lies, and a lie is defined as something that can be proven to be true, right? So that's all a lie is, or something that can be a lie is defined a lie is defined as something that can be proven to be false, rather. And it could be proven to be true. If it's proven to be true, it's not a lie. But if it's proven to be false, then it is a lie. And Charlemagne the God has legal papers. It's on record that he did not rape that girl. So you can't call him that. And if I was friends with Kwame Brown, I would have told him that in advance just to kind of alleviate some of this stuff. Kwame Brown is actually smarter than I thought he was, though, because he did retract the statement. He retract calling him a rapist. He might have even apologized for it, but he did just goes in on him anything. But you still contribute to the delinquency of a minor. That's technically true because the court said that he did because and Charlemagne himself pled guilty to that. So what do I think all of this means? Do I think that this is the end of Charlemagne? I don't know if I'll go that dramatic. Do I think this is the end of Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson, who do work under Charlemagne's The Black Effect Network? I don't know. They're still new to this podcasting game, and I do think that they both regret those statements now. Look, I regret those statements for them, because I like Stephen A. Jackson. Stephen Jackson, all right, and Matt Barnes. I got no issue with them, but he became fodder for Kwame Brown when that episode aired. So anyway, it's all interesting. I wanted to get what I wanted to say out about this now while it's still fresh news. Me and my friend Lynn, we're doing a podcast in a few weeks. By the time our podcast come out comes out, this will probably be old news. So I just wanted to kind of let you guys know what the First Amendment says, what I know about the law. Let me see. So yeah. So as far as Kwame Brown is concerned, some people are saying he's a MAGA and this and that. None of that stuff is of any concern to me as it pertains to this topic. If he's what his politics are, what his political leanings are, not my concern. In this situation, as far as being the punching bag for people for all these years, and finally, stepping up, talking smack about, or clapping back at Stephen Jackson, Stephen A. Smith, Charlemagne the God, all the people he clapped at, probably had it coming. Just real simple, man. So anyway, that's all I have to say about that. I have to get that off my chest. Again, look for my new podcast in a couple weeks, and I will see y'all on the flip side. Later.